The Gift of a Dragon's Heart. Chapter 2. Into the Everfree. Early next morning. Today's the day, Spike thought as he quietly got out of bed, ensuring not to wake his adopted sister/mother. Spike had been thinking about how he and Sweetie Belle were going to pull this off all night. He crept over to the entrance of the room. "I'll be back soon. Please don't freak out too much," he whispered with the faintest of smiles. Taking one last look at Twilight, he turned and placed a very brief note on the doorframe before proceeding down the stairs. Once on the first floor of the library, he approached one bookshelf in particular. Pushing aside a row of books, he smiled to himself. "I still can't believe Twilight hasn't figured this out yet," he chuckled as he slid open the secret panel to reveal all the supplies he needed for the trip, along with the book on gems and a map of the Everfree Forest. He grabbed his supplies and headed out the door. "Okay, now I'm ready," he thought as he exited the library. "I just hope the same goes for Sweetie Belle."
"Okay, come on, Sweetie Belle. You got this."
Sweetie spoke quietly and with little confidence, looking into a mirror.
"Where's Spike?"
Reaching under her bed, she pulled out a small saddlebag containing a few sandwiches and cartons of apple juice she had prepared yesterday. Turning to the door, she gulped.
"Well, this is it."
Opening the door just a crack, she looked down the corridor. She couldn't see Rarity, but the noises coming from her room told Sweetie that she was still sleeping. Opening the door fully, she quickly trotted past Rarity's room and down the stairs. Once outside, she sighed in relief.
Phew. Okay, that's the first step out of the way. I just need to meet up with Spike.
The mere thought sent a shiver of excitement through her body.
Maybe this is so bad after all. I mean, I did get to spend the whole day with Spike,
she thought as she brightly skipped forward a few steps, but then stopped.
Yeah, a whole day with Spike in the Everfree Forest, looking for a gift for Rarity.
She sighed again.
It could be worse.
"Sweetie Belle, are you here?" Spike called as he approached the spot they agreed to meet at.
"Yes, I'm here."
Sweetie called back, stepping out from behind a bush. At once, Spike noticed a look of worry on the filly's face. "Are you okay?" Spike asked with a concerned voice. "Because if you really aren't comfortable with this, I'll just go on alone."
"No,"
Sweetie said hurriedly.
"I want to come with you."
"Great!" Spike smiled as he reached into the strange bag on his back.
Spike, what's that thing on your back?"
Sweetie questioned. "Huh? Oh, this? Well, I'm not a pony, so I cannot use a saddlebag," Spike explained. "So Rarity designed this for me. It's called a backpack. Pretty cool, huh?"
"Yeah,
she said, smiling at him warmly.
I love it when Spike is proud of something. It's so cute."
"Anyway," Spike said, breaking Sweetie's train of thought, "we're at the entrance to the forest here." He pointed to a spot on the map of the Everfree Forest he had just laid out on the ground. "The gem is located here." Spike pointed to another part of the map.
"But that's over a day's walk,"
Sweetie exclaimed, growing more concerned by the minute. "I know, but trust me, it will be worth it," Spike said confidently.
"I don't know,"
Sweetie began, but then looked up at Spike. The look on his face told her just how much he wanted this, and while she was hurt to see him so dedicated to some pony other than her, she just couldn't refuse.
"Okay, fine. Let's go."
About an hour later, Spike and Sweetie Belle were still picking their way through the dense undergrowth, chatting to each other all the while. So Twilight got all worked up about some disaster for nothing, Spike laughed. Sweetie giggled uncontrollably.
Didn't Twilight tell us about how you got sick on ice cream for like a week after?
Yeah, but come on, it's ice cream. You can't just pass up an opportunity to eat as much ice cream as you want now, can you?
I suppose not.
Sweetie smiled with a look of understanding on her face.
This is turning out to be a great day. I don't know what Rarity was talking about when she said this place is dangerous.
Sweetie gulped.
Now seems to be a better time than any to ask him. So, Spike, what is it about my sister that you like so much?
Well, Spike thought for a moment. Isn't it obvious? She's the most beautiful mare in all of Equestria.
Okay, but isn't there anything else?
She asked. Spike thought back to all the time he had spent trying to win Rarity over. Well, of course, she is a great friend and she's just so generous. You should have seen that one time she gave me this really cool bow tie, Spike said dreamily, but deep down he was concerned. There must be more reasons than that. Yet, as hard as he tried, he couldn't think of any.
Right.
Sweetie said quietly. What about you? Spike asked.
What do you mean?
Do you like any pony? You must have a crush of some kind.
I'd rather not talk about it,
She said, blushing slightly. Well, I bet whoever he or she is, they would love to go out with you, if you just asked.
Thanks, Mike, but I don't think he would.
Nonsense! Who wouldn't want to go out with you? I mean, you're sweet, kind, pretty, and clever. Any pony would be beyond lucky to have you as their special sun pony, or whatever you would call it at our age. Sweetie was taken aback by this compliment, and her face was burning a bright red.
You really think that?
She asked with a look of disbelief. Of course. Why wouldn't I? Spike said, smiling at her.
I don't know what to say. Thank you so much.
Sweetie wrapped her hoofs around him in a tight hug. Don't mention it. I mean, what are friends for? He said, a little confused as to why Sweetie Belle was so happy. Anyway, you want to hear about the time me, Twilight, Pinkie, and Flares nearly got eaten by a giant hydra?
Sure,
Sweetie said cheerfully. Okay, well, it all started when Twilight was practicing this new spell. As the day moved swiftly on and the pair traveled deeper and deeper into the forest, their chatting died down until they were traveling in near silence.
It's so dark,
Sweetie complained.
Who knows what could be lurking this deep in the forest?
Don't worry, Sweetie, there's nothing out here I can't handle, Spike boasted. Almost on cue, a roar sounded from somewhere quite far off. Ah! What was that? Spike yelled as he dug his face into the ground. Moments later, he peeked up from his hiding spot to see Sweetie Belle laughing.
Yeah, you can handle anything around here,
She playfully gloated. Stop that, Sweetie Belle, this is serious, he scolded. Sweetie just rolled her eyes as Spike got up from the floor and dusted himself off. Anyway, shall we continue? He asked a little sheepishly. The two continued on, walking a little more closely together now. The sun was beginning to set now, and the forest was growing darker by the minute. Suddenly, a shadow swept over them, causing Sweetie Belle to scream and jump into Spike's unsuspecting arms. Surprised, he toppled over and the pair landed in a heap on the forest floor. What's wrong, Sweetie? Spike asked, looking up at the terrified and also extremely embarrassed-looking filly on top of him.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Spike.
She squeaked, jumping off of the dragon with slight hesitation.
It's just, did you see that shadow?
Yeah, it didn't look that big, he said, unsure as to where this was heading.
I know what it was,
she said with a scared look in her eyes. Oh, what? He asked.
It was a cockatrice, chicken head, snake tail, dragon wings,
she said quickly. Really? That sounds stupid, he interjected.
I thought that too. Remember that day Twilight went to the Everfree Forest and didn't come back until really late?
Yeah, actually, she never really told me why she was so late.
Well, it's because she encountered a cockatrice,
Sweetie urgently explained. Really? What did it do? Spike asked.
the same thing the Elements of Harmony did to Discord. It turned her to stone.
What? But how? She was fine when she got back home, Spike inquired.
A cockatrice can reverse its magic, and Fluttershy was able to make it turn her back.
Well then, what do we do?
We run!
Sweetie yelled.
And whatever you do, don't look into its eyes.
The pair ran as fast as their legs could carry them. Once they reached a large boulder, they stopped to rest. Do you think we lost it? Spike asked out of breath. Suddenly, a rustling of leaves sounded from above, and a moment later, the cockatrice landed with a squawk right in front of them. The two barely had enough time to shield their eyes. Looking towards Sweetie, Spike could see a look of determination on her face. Just hold on, Sweetie Belle, he said desperately. The cockatrice was advancing now, trying to get a glimpse of their eyes. All of a sudden, a chilling howl echoed from somewhere in the dense forest. At once, the cockatrice stopped its offense and fled into the night, a panicked squawk escaping its toothy beak as it flew. The two friends stood, stunned as they watched it go.
What was that?
Sweetie asked. I think we should get out of here now, Spike said urgently.
Okay,
The shaken filly responded, still shivering in fear.
but can we find a place to sleep?
Sweetie Belle yawned.
I'm getting really sleepy.
Say no more, Spike said as he led Sweetie Belle into the trees. A few minutes later, they found a good spot. A hollow under a log just large enough for the two of them to squeeze inside. Spike noticed Sweetie was hanging back from him a bit. He did not, however, notice how red her face had become from being so close to him. Hey, Sweetie Belle, are you alright?
Huh? Oh, I'm fine, really.
She replied. Are you sure? If there is anything wrong, you can tell me.
Well, it's just that I guess I'm just scared. I've never spent the night anywhere without Rarity beside my room, let alone in the Everfree Forest.
Hey, now, it's okay. You got me, he said with a reassuring smile.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Sweetie smiled slightly.
If only I really had you.
Sweetie Belle inched closer and closer to Spike until their sides touched. Her already intensely red face lit up even more, and even Spike's cheeks reddened a little. There they sat, gazing up at the night sky through a hole in the canopy, at the constellations, and at Luna's moon. Slowly, Spike put his arm around Sweetie Belle and pulled her a little closer. Sweetie tensed up a little, but went with it.
Oh my, I can't believe it. Spike is so close to me.
Sweetie thought. She felt excited and nervous at the same time.
What did Pinky call her? Oh yeah, nervous-sighted.
But above all else, Sweetie Belle felt happy. Happier than she had felt in a long time. And that's saying something. She feels a little tense, Spike thought. Is she nervous about something? No, probably not. He glanced over at her. Gosh, I never noticed how beautiful she was. So sweet and kind, too. Spike smiled softly. You can tell she's Rarity's sister. All at once, Spike felt something in his heart. Something that told him she was more than just Rarity's sister. But before he could ponder any further, he heard a quiet snore, followed by another. He looked at Sweetie Belle again, only to see that she had fallen asleep, one of his arms still holding her close. Something tugged at Spike's heart as he watched the cute little filly dreaming peacefully. "Sweet dreams, Sweetie Belle," he whispered before he too settled down to rest.